Agriculture is a very, very challenging field. There's an enormous amount of variables that come into play when you're trying to grow a simple tomato plant. So in reality, while in the background you might be collecting hundreds of different variables, the grower or the irrigator will care about 3 or 4 or 5 key variables. The challenge becomes, how do you find out what those key parameters are? And then how do you train the grower to understand them and to take advantage of that? The entire idea with Gradient is, let's try to look at agriculture, paint a complete picture for a grower that takes all the different parameters that are important into account so that they can take the best decisions for the crop. It's critical, right? I mean, these growers, this is their livelihood. This is what they're gonna feed their families from. This is the first time I've had a chance to go look at that field, and it's unrecognizable from previous years. The density of the canopy, the color, the growth, the flowering has been incredible. So it's one of those success stories where you finally break through, a grower realizes the benefit of the technology and starts taking that into account when taking the decisions for irrigation, makes a big impact.
We've worked with a lot of growers who have had many challenges. There tends to be a lot of over-irrigation, and that is based off of temperatures. And the assumption is made that because it's going to be hot, we have to irrigate, and that is wrong.
It's critical for us to explain to the grower that you can't just look at a 95, 98 degree day and think that that's going to be a lot of demand. You need to consider the relative humidity as well and the vapor pressure deficit, right? So that's really the factor that combines the two. So if we just look at this week, for example, a grower that looks at a 99 degree temperature would think, this is crazy, my field is going to need a ton of water. But in reality, if you look at the relative humidity and you look at the vapor pressure deficit, you realize, okay, there's going to be some demand, but it's not as extreme as the 99 degrees would lead you to believe.
What Gradient is doing here is that we incorporate all aspects. So basically we're measuring soil moisture here. We are measuring irrigation, basically all the water that is going in through a sensor in the drip. We are monitoring plant stress index, weather data, vapor pressure deficit, relative humidity, and air temperature. Along with all of that, we are also doing satellite imagery to basically see the whole picture. These sensors are able to detect stress before the human eye is able to see it. One of the best success stories that I have is from a grower. He was growing tomatoes for the very first time. We gave him all the information, recommendations, and he was a little bit unsure. So he didn't listen to a lot of the recommendations that we were giving. Following the second year, he actually listened to all of the recommendations and he doubled his yield.
Once they've gotten accustomed to seeing the data flow, seeing all the data from their fields, it's really hard for them to go back to farming without having that information available to them. I've had growers, when I started in 2020, they were only in like 150, 200 acres, and now some of them are about 1,800 acres in. Once you get used to that information, you don't want to go back.
These sensors have been incredibly sturdy. We put them through hell. I mean, those conditions out there are not nice on technology, and Meter's equipment has been incredibly reliable. It's kind of the backbone of the platform from my perspective that we can trust on the data that we're seeing. I mean, it wouldn't be like navigating blind, but it'd be like navigating with an eye closed without using any of the components, not just the IR, but the moisture and the environment. So you need all that whole picture to understand what's happening.